it's Chris Gio from Merchant Method, and I am so excited to be getting at you live from Valoria and Pioneer Square. Today is an encore pop-up training all around how to sell on video. Now, if you are a retailer that sells in person, or if you're a maker that sells at a market or at pop-ups, this training is dedicated to you. This is where my heart's at. And it is going to be really focused on how to feel, even though I am awkward right now, it's going to be focused on how to get a little bit more comfortable, how to hone your message before you actually set your goals and set your expectations for what it could be like to sell in a longer format. So this is going to be a little bit different than using IG stories or even the 60 seconds that you get on the IG feed. This is more longer format, 30-ish or more minutes, whether it is pre-recorded or it's live streamed. And I promise you, you don't need a ton of stuff. So that's what we are focused on today. Thank you, Kat, for saying hi. Hi, Rita. Can you let me know, Rita, where you are tuning in from and what your business is? Because I'm really interested and eager to learn more about you. And if you're sticking with me, this is like a really quick training, and the way that you could help other merchants like us is, as I go point by point, if you feel like you would take mental notes, go ahead and type them in the comments. The way that'll help other merchants and the way it'll help me is it'll timestamp where in the video we're talking about mindset and strategy. Does that sound good? That's going to be helpful to me. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. First off, I really want to talk about why I think video is important in this particular moment in time. I live in Seattle. I'm in the state of Washington, and COVID-19 is really impacting the way that we engage socially, the way that we interact personally face-to-face, and it's having some major implications that are impacting very quickly and very meaningfully businesses that sell in person, where a majority of what we do is engage and sell in person. So retail shops, restaurants, cafes, everything's getting impacted. Every Lyft driver I talk to is getting impacted. And I totally believe, and I don't even know what you look like, Rita, but I'm imagining you. I believe in the power of connecting through camera. And if we have our customer really at the heart of what we're saying and what we're doing, we can make those connections, and we don't have to sacrifice the engagement that we might be able to connect and create in person just because we are following health and safety regulations for social distancing. So we're gonna have fun. Rita, stick around because I'm coming back live at noon, and I'm with the co-owners of Valoria, and we're gonna do a fun shopping event, and hopefully it becomes a model that other businesses might be able to use. All right, are we ready? Let's get to it. Oh, Rita, you're in Portland, Union Rose. I love Portland. Let's just put my face on here. I love Portland. I love Portland. I feel like it's an extension of our backyard. I don't get there as often as I want to. I love you, Rose. I'm so happy you're here. Okay, so what we know about just the state of the market, even before we get to the state of what's happening in the economy right now and in health right now, is that the competition feels fierce. It feels competitive, and not in a mean way, but in a way where we are in a time where it's easy to open a business, and we're encouraged to open businesses. And because of that, there are just a lot of businesses out there. And we know that the use of video is growing and growing over time. It's remarkable. The use of live stream is growing and growing over time. It's remarkable. And I think one of the reasons why people who watch things like live stream is the element of humanity. It's not fully edited. I am but one person behind 3 little devices. So whatever I say incorrectly is gonna come out. And it's not super highly produced. And I think that's the nice part about live stream video, is people are interested in what's gonna happen. But more and more, customers are buying things from video and trying to really decipher, like, how do I get to know a brand? How do I trust it? Because there's a lot of indie retailers and makers like you, like Cat and Chica, and then there's a lot of other brands that are doing like quick launches, and there's a lot of validity in that too, but we're just really trying to understand, how do we engage, how do we trust, and how do we develop a relationship over time? And so video is part of that. So lots of people are raising their hand to get in front of your customer, and I want you to be raising your hand too. Just raise your hand. I always say that do the best that we can, and when we do, it'll get better. Yeah, I'm hoping. So when I think about video, and I was actually found an old video that I did in 2014. It was like my very first set of videos, and in some part, even though it was like very humble beginnings, it reminds me of a lot of things. And what it reminds me of most is I used to get nervous about talking to a lot of people. Like, it's the internet. I could be talking to millions of people, which is so funny because millions of people do not want to hear from me. Millions of people don't care what I have to say. And really, at the end of the day, if I'm doing my job and if we're doing our jobs as merchants, we're really connecting and engaging. And so what I love about this photo, it's a picture of a person talking on a cell phone. And I don't know about you, I just don't talk on my cell phone a lot. It's either because it's quicker to resolve something, like if I'm working with another, like a freelancer, and a design question is quicker for us to either go on video chat or by phone, or if I'm talking with my parents or my in-laws. But at that point, I'm already like hooked in. I'm ready to talk and ready to engage. And video has that capacity too. So don't worry about talking to a lot of people. Don't worry about if the message is right for a lot of people. In some part, anyone who's watching is going to self-select. They're either going to decide something in here is really compelling, it's engaging, I want to listen, or I want to fast forward a little bit. But really, at the end of the day, it's you and one other person behind the camera. And so I'm lucky today because I've got like two ladies to my right. And I am lucky today too because, Rita, I'm like imagining you on the other side, and I respect your time. So just think of it more like a one-way conversation. One person conversation. I'm taking back the words on one way, and you'll hear why. Okay. I love this picture. This is two people laughing. This could be literally any two people. It could be two people in your shop. It could be you and a co-owner. It could be you and another customer. And the whole idea of like, here's what I like to imagine with these two people, that like one is a hairstylist and the other's a DJ, and they just found out that their tattoos are done by the same artist. And they're just like laughing and connecting, and they didn't know each other before. There's also opportunity to engage and find like new friends, people that you just didn't even really know online. And that's like the level of intimacy that is okay to have on video, that what you would bring to a conversation either at a dinner party with friends or even a small gathering is okay to bring in video. It certainly doesn't have to be perfect, and it certainly doesn't have to be anyone except for you. And so like I'm a certain way. Sometimes my personality is really big, and other times it's like very introverted and I want to be around no one. Whatever you are and however you are is going to be fine, because when people meet you in person, because they will meet you in person, they'll engage with you in person, they'll read your words, they'll come into the shop. They don't want to be disarmed by how different you are by video or versus in real life. There's just like this fundamental disconnect. So feel like when you are picking up your phone to record, I'm just assuming it's a phone, it could be something else fancy. When you're picking it up to record and thinking about who's on the other line, just be you. If you feel nervous, be nervous. I was nervous in the beginning because I was having some tech issues. That's fine, be nervous if that's you. If it's you really excited, be that. If it's you irreverent and a little bit audacious and using like words that maybe you don't want a preschooler to listen to, but you talk like that all the time and write like that all the time, be that. It's cool. Then you'll find your person that you want to laugh with, like these two people. I like looking at them. Okay. So the next thing I want to address really is around this whole concept of not being enough. And not being enough in terms of, I don't know what to say, I've never been on camera before, are enough people going to watch? So I'd love to know if you have concerns about not being enough. Does anyone have concerns about not being enough? Anyone? Anyone? Always nervous and awkward. I just took a quick sip of water. Yeah. People are forgiving, and I think that's why I fell in love with the live stream video format over pre-recorded video and over audio recording like podcasts, and I've dabbled in all three because I feel like, Rita, probably a little bit of your awkwardness is endearing. Like I'm just taking a guess that some of that's endearing and some of it's very real. But if we take a little bit of time to strip away all that's happening and all the like metallic of the devices and the computer and all the awkwardness that we might experience in a big networking event, if we're really thinking about the one person we're talking to, it makes it a little bit easier because we're really not here to be hired to be on Broadway. We're not here to be a hired newscaster or a telecaster. Like, I tried to read a teleprompter, I would be fired right away. I'm really bad at reading a teleprompter. But we're here to try and deliver something or engage in some way or call someone to some kind of action with the other person on the end of the camera in mind. Now, the awkward feeling, it doesn't matter if you pick up your camera and live stream every day for 2 years straight or even like 14 days straight. You'll always have this like feeling because there's a bit of the unknown. Will the tech work? Will I just be a little bit tired because it was a doozy last night and I didn't sleep? That stuff will be normal, but you'll start to feel more comfortable with your routine, and it's after time that you'll be able to figure out what you're faster at so that you can spend a lot of your brain power and creativity honing the message. Okay, so Rita says, I'm confident in person. I can't wait to meet you. But hate photos, and the thought of doing video is daunting. Oh my gosh, I know. Okay, so I think everyone I've spoken with that is a small business owner or a creative, and particularly one that's a merchant, I think there's something about being a merchant that is, it's not about me, it's about you. It's about me listening deeply and giving you the best that I can give you from a heart-centered place to say, hey, I think you'd like this. And it's not from a place of being performative. And so I think you have a lot in common with other retailers that are trying to use video to connect and to sell, for sure. It's a little bit like desensitizing yourself to other things. So we learn a lot in school, like if we don't worry about what other people think, we can kind of do our thing. Or we learn like early on when we go on social media, it's like, don't worry about the haters. And it's in this like elevated way that is an elevated thing that we bring with us through the entire journey of being business owners and being creative entrepreneurs. If I can just get past my fear of not being good at this, it'll allow you to actually get through the mechanics of practicing. It is daunting. I'm not gonna lie to you. If I were to say, oh, it's easy, that's like not real. It's not real. It's daunting, but like I'm here for you, and lots of people are here for you, and hopefully I'll share a few mindset things and a few simple tip things. I'm not going to be really specific about platform because it almost doesn't matter. I'm not going to be really specific about gear because it almost doesn't matter. We're just trying to start. Okay, Kat says, I'm worried about not being compelling or interesting enough. Here's the thing about, we're like humble. We're but humble merchants. And fans are fans, and customers trust you to do things for them and think for them and be counterparts to them because they're not as confident. And so the compelling piece of it is that you as an individual shape and influence a brand that shape and influences someone's life, that shapes and influences someone's spending or their habits or how they think about themselves. Like, that's pretty powerful, that any one person who feels nervous on camera, who feels nervous about like pitching or selling, who doesn't like being in pictures, that they could do things that help someone feel awesome when they look at a thing in their house, or they pick up a thing that they use, or they put something on their body. That's pretty rad. And so like, know that. And I'm looking at these ladies, know that. It's pretty awesome. So on that note, you do not have to be the authority on everything. Even like of the things that you sell. Like, let's just say, I'm thinking about one business in particular, and they sell yarn, and they had sold fabrics and patterns and notions. Well, that's like a nice broad range of make it yourself, design it yourself, do it yourself, and to be inspired by that. But like, that person does not have to be an expert on zippers that pass a pound testage and wear use over time that's like outdoor quality. Like, it's okay to be really, really good in the sphere of what you're selling and really good about things, like even how to navigate someone through your website and still not know why they are running into a problem, or still might not know why the camera is like turned like funky into its side. Like, I've live streamed for like 10 whole minutes and my camera's sideways. Like, people don't care. They're very, very forgiving. And in the same way that a customer might come in and you don't know, you would just say like, I don't know. And ultimately, if you're finding that someone just is not jiving with you, and in the rare, I mean like very rare instance that someone has a lot of time on their hands to write a thoughtful but cutting remark, your best friend is the delete button. Like, honestly, like, you don't have to keep that up. You don't have to keep those comments up. Like, I am a deleter blocker like all day, and I don't get a lot of it because just who really has time for that? So you just delete, block, move on. Because people will, the ones that love you will love you, and the ones that are bored will find the other things to say, and it's okay, because we don't know them. We would never laugh with them at a party because we have the same tattoo artist, and I would never call them on my cell phone. So it's okay. Delete and block. What we're really looking for is whatever the gem of a message is that's yours. And so, again, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of people are going on video. And it could be that someone that is really just super similar to Union Rose, but might be in the Midwest or on the East Coast, they're also going on video. So it can feel like, oh no, I'm entering a whole nother realm of competition. I think it's less about that and more, if we all, in this time right now, March 2020, can do things to help our customers feel like they're not disconnected, that we still care about them, that we are still there for them, that however it is that they're going to spend their money is going to be fine. But I'm here as a small business, and I'm here to help you, and I haven't forgotten about you. I'm making it easier on you, I hope. And I hope that we can actually build our relationship, even though we're not together. Like, that's the gem. And so know that whether someone's new to the game or you've been at it for a long time, if you like running a family business and the idea of going on video feels like offensive to the legacy, like, just be open that there's so many ways that you can position this in your head space and in your heart space and in your business value space to have it feel very valuable and worthy. You just need one gem, and that gem is going to guide you through when the tech won't connect, or you're having an off day, or like the circles are really dark, like you do not need to be anything other than you. And that's pretty, like that's what people want. Okay, last mindset thing before we get into some practical things about shaping message. So oftentimes it seems like when we watch people on live stream video, it feels like, wow, they have their ducks in a row. Like there is one client that I work with, like her live stream video is amazing, and sometimes I'm like, how come I don't do that? Because I'm much more comfortable on Facebook than on Instagram Live. I have another client that's really good at stories, and for the life of me, like I make my son practice on our private Instagram personal account on like different features so that like no one's seeing it except for close family and friends, and we delete it right away because I don't know how to use features. Like we're not optimizing to the 100% of like we're already doing this and how do we make it even better. This really is about just starting and then or building what you have, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be polished. And so what I mean by polished is you can show up, you know, if you're a maker and you're just at home and you're a little bit tired, you can show up tired, but polished would be the difference between I'm having a moment and it's really hard right now, but I'm just kind of on the other side of it, and I can be reflective. And I can be reflective in a way that I think is valuable to you and interesting to you, which is different than I'm working this out loud right now and I'm crying and I can't breathe at this time, right? So there's really a balance between being of value and of service versus a cathartic release. And the threshold for being value and of service is kind of low, right? So we can just show up and do our thing and be the gem and be enough and hone a message without being perfectly polished. So I hope that makes you feel a little bit better about even thinking that tomorrow, so I'm giving homework, that tomorrow you're gonna just press go on the camera. Even if it's like only for yourself. Any mindset questions before we go into like some shaping questions of the shaping of the message before you hit go? Okay. So I am a huge person that loves inclusivity and inclusivity in training and development and in the workplace. And video is just one of those formats that is not as inclusive as other things, because you basically have to be able to see it. It's a moving picture. And so even though I would normally want to promote like a lot of inclusive things, it's like, how do we get to the next level and how do we make slow improvements over time? And so in our instance, for really the inspiration behind coming and chatting with you today is trying to say, you're welcome in my place of business and in my space, and it's safe for you, and I'm going to try and make it safe a few ways. It'll be safe if you come in because, you know, whatever, we're cleaning and we're being really thoughtful about health. It's safe for you to shop online because when we ship things out, we're also using clean hands, and we can engage through video. If you felt like you wanted to use captions, you can. I'm actually not really going to suggest it yet until you get to a place where you're optimizing, because it's my hope that what you're creating and how you're selling are things that are going to be sold out 4 months from now, and that they won't be super available, and like weighing through what's quote unquote worth doing now in terms of like timely video versus something that will live in its entirety months from now, a year from now. Like what you're wanting to make is timely video for the full price inventory you are trying to sell now. So this is a different way to think about inclusivity within your brand and for your customers. All right, so let's talk about shaping the message for one way. I'm just gonna take a quick drink here. We're not broadcasting. In the same way that maybe a newscaster might be broadcasting, we want to be able to stop and answer questions. And sometimes we'll feel more on top of it than other times. You'll develop a feel for how to respond to comments in the moment. I tend to remind myself to pause, ask a question, answer it, look for comments, because hopefully that gives people time to type and then respond. Or I tend to communicate and then look and listen, listen, respond, instead of talking, break a comment, talking, break a comment. So you'll figure out your rhythm, but know that it is two-way. And you can shape a message that allows you to stop if you're unaccustomed to stopping, to ask questions if you're unaccustomed to doing that on video, or as a way to gain your, to get your nerves to calm down a little bit. In the beginning, it may be that few people are with you live, and that's okay, because people watch a lot of live video. They might not watch it as it's streaming live. They may watch it later and earmark it later. So just remember that even though you might be streaming to 1 or 2 people, it's gonna be okay. You can shape it as a two-way message. Video allows you to dive deep and to cover a few things that maybe you wouldn't ever cover in an Instagram post, because it's a lot of words, or in a blog post, maybe because you're not a writer, or in a newsletter because it feels a little bit Dear Diary-like. You can actually dive deeper into what you want to share, how you want to describe things, how you want to share the inspiration behind products or the history of the business. So let yourself narrowly, create a narrow message and then dive deep on it. That's the kind of stuff that people love, and what compels them to stay a little bit longer and to feel closer. Oh, I like this picture. So on this topic of shaping message, I love this a woman at this farmer's market kind of weighing on a scale, trying to make sure that the goal, here's the metaphor, the goal that she has is proportionate to the way that she's shaping her message. That's kind of the metaphor here. When you create your goal for a video, I would really encourage you to resist, if the best that you can, resist the urge to add more to it, right? So here in an hour and a half, I'm gonna be having fun with the crew at Valoria, and the idea really is to invite customers to stay connected. It would be so tempting to add another goal on top, and another goal on top, and another goal on top, and we could get lofty, but at the very end of the day, if we're staying really narrow and we can go a little bit deep, that's so valuable. So as you figure out how to shape it, kind of keep it that way, and you can use your brand values, you can use your mission, you can use a manifesto, you can use a product to help keep that message nice and kind of bite-sized. So one of the questions I got was, where's the right place to live stream? Is it IGTV? Is it just IG Live? Is it Facebook Live, YouTube? I think if you're just starting out, anywhere is gonna be fine. The grass is always greener on the other side. I might start with where you have the most followers, or if they're equal, where you have the most click-through on your profile link. Wherever your customer is, be there. You don't have to be in all places. So I wish I could live stream to Instagram, but I really like doing this type of format and providing something a little more educational, and I tend to go long and almost always over 15 minutes. So Instagram's not right for me. Just pick what's gonna work for you, and I would say commit to it. commit to it for a month at least, if not more. It's less about the number of days you're committing to it and more about how frequently you're trying. So if you commit to it for a month, but show up on, Insta Livestream 3 times a month, that's going to be more meaningful than if you commit to it for a whole quarter and only show up like every other week. So whatever the frequency is, commit to that, and just let data and how customers respond and sales be your guide. It is slow going. There's not going to be one fast, quick thing. What I like to say when it comes to any marketing effort, in the beginning, it's for you as a creative business owner to feel comfortable, to shape a message, to work through the learning curve. And then after that feels good, then it's for your customers because you've been able to prove that you are reliably showing up. Oh, this picture, it's okay. We're not gonna focus in on this picture very much. If you are finding that people are not kind, delete and block. That's it, just delete and block. The one thing about delivering a message into a camera is when you're in person with someone, there's very little, particularly with a customer. We're not screaming to a customer across the shop, or if you're at like a selling event with a lot of vendors, we're not screaming to them through like a bunch of customers walking by. We're pretty much as close as I am to this camera right now, which is a couple feet. And there's so much that we get from the subtleties of everything around us. There is like eye contact, physical like presence and stance, the tone of voice, the animation, the eyebrows. Like there's so much we get from that kind of engagement. And the best that we can do when we show up for video is to understand that how we might be in this close proximity actually is a little different, because it's almost like we're talking and customers are walking past, because there's like, we have to be cognizant that there is a lot of distractions. So if someone is watching on their computer, they might get a notification, or if someone's watching on their phone, they might get a text. So we are technically talking through our awkwardness and our feelings through the air into a built-in microphone or whatever, through this camera, on the waves of the internet that my brain still can't get past, into your device, and then you have to receive it all that way. So there's a lot. And so how we may want to deliver communication, like these two people standing within close proximity to each other, you can still have that intention and that message, but there's a lot of stuff that the message might get broken down. So it's kind of like a game of telephone. So just know that as you speak into the camera and as you think about how to channel any of your nervous energy, because they can be used to help combat all that. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay. Hi. Okay, so what you're delivering then is really like a message in a bottle. And thinking through, again, if we're thinking through how do we shape the size of the message and going deep, right? Like we have the opportunity to go with a little more depth in video. Thinking through the message in the bottle, because we're saying our words, but then there's also opportunities for written words. So I would think through and use it as like a guiding outline before I hop on. What is it that I might want to type and say? At the very end of the day, this is what I want to communicate. It's your message in a bottle. And if you are like me and you live stream on Facebook, you can type that in. If you do it on Instagram and then you like cross post it to your feed, you can type that in. But this message in a bottle concept is used to really help guide you as a person who is trying to craft and facilitate a message, and then help really give the signals to your customers that are watching, if they can't watch fully or if they're trying to get a gist of what they might find inside the video. Okay, So that is that portion of shaping the message. And now we're getting into like how to actually be on camera. Do you have any questions about that? Type them in if you have any message shaping questions. Otherwise, I'm going to go right into like how to be on camera. The best way to replicate eye contact, like really to replicate eye contact, is to pretend the lens of your camera is someone's eye. And if we're speaking with someone, we don't like stare at them the whole time and do this thing and like never blink and like never look away. Like we're normal people, so sometimes we might look away. These two are like staring at each other. It's normal when we normally think like, you know, we look off in a distance to try and find our words, particularly if we're not memorizing a script. I would just say, think of the camera lens like someone's eye. And if you need to, you can put a Post-it anywhere to demark where the lens actually is. On some cameras, it's a little harder. So the camera I'm speaking into has a silver back, and then I can see the lens because there's high contrast. On this camera, it's hard because everything is one color. So I have to put a little sticky or just get used to what I'm staring at, and then blinking and looking away from. Get used to what you're looking at. So that's one really important way to show up and keep it feeling human is eye contact. The second thing is around noise and distractions and mics. You don't actually need anything other than your built-in mic and a quiet place to record. Whether there's, people have sold on QVC from their cell phones with echo. Like Rachel Hollis, I was watching her videos. It's nothing more than her cell phone and her echoey room and the built-in mic. You can do it. So don't feel like you have to get a lot of gear, just use what you have. What I would say is if you're feeling nervous or if you want to make sure that you are in a space where you can really show up, get rid of the distractions the best you can. If you want something that helps with sound, just plug in the earbuds that comes with your smartphone. That's really helpful too, but you don't need a whole lot. I would say natural light is really helpful. I think any photographer will tell you that. So if you can get to a window, great. Some of the built-in cameras, whether it's on your phone or native to the app, might help you adjust the warmth. You almost don't need it. Like really, how people understand who is on the other side of the camera is more important than the quality, because you can have a highly produced something and you don't like who's behind the camera, but for sure you can stand watching a video from like your niece or nephew where the camera's like shaking all over the place and looks up their nose and then at the ceiling, like you'll be there for that. So if you've got light, you'll be fine. And then lastly, like a place to look for comments. So I've found that depending on what I'm live streaming on, sometimes I can't actually see the comments. So if you can't see the comments because you're not holding the phone and looking at it, you'll just want another device to be able to see what that engagement is like back and forth. You don't need it. A lot of the apps will let you see comments live, but that might be nice. You can also do it from your desktop. So if you are a Facebook person, if you've got a strong fan base, you can live stream from your desktop. YouTube, you can live stream from your desktop. Instagram from the phone. You don't need a third-party app. Like I'm using a third-party app because I do this a lot. I do not want you to get caught up in that. Like if what you're doing is holding up signs that say, "Hi, it's us, and we are here," and wait for the camera to adjust, like that'll be fine. That's fine. You don't need a lot of fancy stuff. In fact, I want you as a small business to be nimble. I want you to be thinking flexibly. And then I would actually recommend driving people to your website if you sell online as a way to process the orders. There's a lot of ways to do it, but if you're already selling e-commerce, do it there because I know you've got that down. All right, then the last thing I would recommend is after it's all done, after you're done live streaming, whether it's like 5 minutes or 30 minutes, or like me, I'm going on 45 minutes, and you're done, you can decide that you just need to come down from all of it. Because I myself, like, I need just like a little bit of time. Whew. Or you can decide that you're still on a high and you want to respond to comments. Go back in and respond to comments. Whether you do it on your phone or you do it on your computer, because the going back in and responding to individual comments is what tells any algorithm that happens to be doing the math that there is engagement. So just go back in, comment, even if you've, like, Rita, you should look for comments from me to you, Rita, because I'll have thought about other things. Like, you'll be thinking about the person after the fact. I'll have thought of other things, and I want to make sure you know I thought of you. So go back in and make those comments. Okay. So far we've talked about mindset. Oh, look, this is a very meta moment, because this is a picture of me recording into a camera, also at Valoria. This is like very weird. Meta. We've talked about like the mindset of how to start to think less about how you feel on camera and more how your customer feels engaging with you on camera, right? So it goes from us to them. We've talked through shaping message and keeping it really focused so that you are guided with really good connection and guiding your customer through a journey that you want to take them on. And then number 3, some really simple things you can do just to turn on the camera. So my homework for you is just to turn on the camera tomorrow. It'll be fine, I promise. Thank you so much for joining me. I say it all the time, and I really, really, really mean it. It would not be the same here without you. So here's what I want you to do. If you've got time, Rita, I would love for you to join us. Like, go to Valoria's Facebook page. You can find it by going to Hello Valoria. If you just type that into the Facebook search bar, at noon we're going to be live streaming and just like experimenting and having fun. And what I hope is that we're creating a model for small business owners, like boutiques, people who sell in person, a model for how they can use a little bit more of long format video to stay connected, to like give that heartwarming feeling, and let customers know that, like, yeah, we're here for you. So join us. We'd love to see you there. Okay, I'm going to take us out with some music, because like, who doesn't love a good song? I know I do. I love a good song. Oh, I'm going to dance. And then there's some clapping here at some point. I think there's clapping. Okay, thank you.